Welcome back, everyone, to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. Now, there's a few things I want to accomplish in this particular video. One of them, of course, being moving on to our next GP, the next round. But before we do that, we know that we've got a financial situation where we're losing money each race. You know, we're now currently sitting in the red, and of course, we know that's going to hurt our job security as the happiness of our chairman continues to decline. But that was expected. I wanted to be very aggressive. Let's have a little fun with this thing and push the envelope a little bit. But a couple of things I want to show you that I'm looking forward to here. I know first and foremost in our sponsor category, we've got one race bonus sponsor that has one final race left. And then we've got a couple of fixed payment sponsors that are in their final race. So what I'm looking forward to is actually going to happen in the next video, which is that once these lapse, I'm going to see if any new sponsorship offers that we get will be increased in size because we're in a higher tier. So again, I'm experiencing all of this for the first time, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to turn out. But of course, I'm hoping it does because we're losing a rather large amount per race right now. So I'm hoping this turns out in our favor. We've gained a lot of favor with and a lot of chairman happiness in the previous tier with a lot of good finishes and made quite a bit of money that's enabled us to do a lot of things in our HQ. So now is where we're cashing in on that good favor, and we're sort of using some of this up as the bar starts to tip its way back toward disappointed. Hopefully it just doesn't go too far in that direction. Another thing I wanted to show you is something I actually don't think I've done before in the series. It's usually something that I take a quick look at. Simply, I don't spend a whole lot of time on it, either on or off camera, simply because there generally hasn't been a whole lot I could do about it. But let's take a quick look at, we're under the calendar section, and let's take a look at, all of the events coming up. So we started at Singapore, and we finished that event, had a very good finish for both of our cars there. Now we're going to Beijing next, but if you'll notice on the track guide, if I've mentioned this before, I don't think I've spent a lot of time on it. You've got several items on here, or 3 items that are mentioned as either crucial or important or something like that. So we got 3 crucial items. Okay, the top one, top speed, is shown as crucial. Well, that's actually good for us because this is a spec part. And the reason why that's good for us is because we are the lowest, basically the lower tier teams on the grid. So any spec part that is considered crucial for a race helps us out because that's a part we don't have to develop. And that's the part we can't fall behind on development with and performance. So next we've got acceleration and then low speed corners. So we don't really have any development going on there, but we're about to finish development on level 2 of our telemetry center, which will help out greatly in the development of acceleration, because we're working on the gearbox. Now, we haven't done anything here with low speed corners, so let's take a quick look through the races. You can see acceleration here. Top speed is useful. We'd like to see that. That's good, because again, it's a spec part. Then top speed, low speed, high speed. So there. Then we go back to acceleration. We see acceleration again, and so on as we go down through. Every time we see acceleration, that's something I believe we can focus on and something we can greatly improve the performance of our car at particular tracks. And it looks like there are several tracks on the list that will allow us to do that. All right. So that's something I'm going to be taking a look at continually throughout the season. All right. One thing I've noticed in the difference between tier 2 and tier 3 is it took a day or so longer to repair the car. So now we've got, let's see, Rodriguez is now committed to religion. So, okay, looks like a temporary morale boost there for 20 weeks. Okay, so he's a little bit more focused and has a morale boost. Car repair is done. So now we can come in and take a look at improving our parts. And of course, we're all about reliability right now. And my plan is to get the major parts to be more reliable right now. Of course, our engine, thankfully, is already at 80%. This really helps us out because the development seems to be very much slower in tier 2 than it was in tier 1 for us. for the same amount of time. You can see here, even though these parts we were working on before our first race, even now it's showing that all 4 of these won't make it to 100% until 8 days after our next race, which is in 23 days. So it's going to be quite a bit slower, giving us even more reason to upgrade our factory to the next level whenever we can. So with that in mind, I'm already planning ahead to the fact that I won't be able to do anything with brakes, most likely. I mean, I could always stop these before they get to 100%, of course, but probably won't be able to do very much of anything with brakes. Don't need to do anything with engine. Probably not going to be able to do anything with the wings, front or rear. So those are the things I'm looking at, but those are quicker fixes on pit road than are your gearbox or your suspension. So let's go in and look. Now, one thing I do want to do is start working on gearboxes. Now, this, of course, is going to put us in the hole, and I'm actually not sure how far in the hole the game will allow us to go before we get ourselves in really big trouble. But if at all possible, I want to go ahead and start this process. Now, we already know this is the first part that we're working on for the season, so we only have 1 slot here. Okay, and because of that, I'm going to go ahead and use that 1 slot for the plus 20. I'm not interested in any sort of warning levels or risk levels at this particular time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that. It says it's going to be done 11 days before the race. Okay, that's good. All right, let's go ahead, and that's going to take a little over $1 million. We're going to go ahead and spend that. Okay, let us do that. All right, and now let's come back in under improve parts and see what we can do. Now, what this does is put us in a unique situation. Okay, because we've got our parts in here. If we take a look at the gearbox, okay, both of them are very close as far as current performance level. This is the one we're going to work on for now because it'll be the last one that we replace with new part. Okay, so we're working on the performance there. Then we're also working on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this one off. Okay, now I know it's going to leave us with quite a bit of issue before the next race with our new part, but it's something we're just going to have to deal with for now, because what I want to do is start improving the reliability of some of our other parts. I'm going to have to get going on this and try to get as many parts upgraded as we can. All right, let's go ahead and take a chance here. Now, you can see that by only having 3 parts in here, they're going to get done a little bit quicker, probably a few days early. And I'm banking on this because, you know, we're in a position where we're not going to have the reliability we want for this next race. But we can start to build on that and have the important parts done maybe by the 3rd or 4th race. And then for the rest of the season, we can focus on performance side of things and not so much on reliability. Also, I'm banking on the fact that because of our tire heat improvements that we have this year, we're not going to have to really push the car as hard, which should be easier on our components, except for the engine. We're going to be a little harder on the engine because it is higher reliability, meaning that we're going to use more fuel. We're going to increase the fuel burn. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead. Now we've got fewer parts in here to deal with. Let's go ahead and continue forward. Okay, we're just going to let the game run, and we'll be back momentarily. All right, so we've got our new design ready on the car. We've got our email that says, hey, your gearbox is ready. So let's see how it compares to our previous parts. So this one has a maximum of 390. Here we had a maximum of 370. So not a huge increase, but we didn't expect a huge increase. We needed to get the process going. We only have 1 slot available. So let's go ahead and autofill that. And both drivers are now pretty content because while everything is not exactly even, you can see on the graph over here, it is all but even. It's extremely close. So we're in good shape there. Now, one thing I don't necessarily like is this. I want to give Rafael, since he is our better driver, I want to try to give him some good parts as much as we can, although I'm not going to worry too terribly much about this. All right, let's see. In fact, I may even change that before we get going. But now the most important thing I'm going to do is, you can see here, we're at 80% on both of these. That's actually a little bit farther along than I thought we would be, but that's very good. I like that idea. All right, so now what I want to do is add our new gearbox in here. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and clear that out so I can get rid of those. And I'm going to put this one in here. And then let's see, we've only got 11 days. So I'm just going to leave this one as the only one. I would love to add the wings in here and start to go, brakes and so forth. But unfortunately, just don't have the capability. What I really need to do is make sure that this new gearbox has the highest reliability that I can possibly get it. And this is the only way I can do that. All right, so with that few days left, let's go ahead and, okay, now we're going to let the other tiers simulate races. Looks like tier 1 there. Okay, our HQ building is almost done. All right, excellent. So now we've got a few buildings going on now. We've got our test track, we've got our design center, which is still at the basic level, but now we got a telemetry center that is level 2 of 3, and the brakes are at level 1 of 3. All right, let's come in under the car. And again, I'm hesitant about doing too much here and getting ourselves in too big of a hole, but I do want to take a quick moment and let's see, gearbox, we can get to 390. Okay, let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's go ahead and remove this one and add this one in here. Okay, we're still maxing out on reliability. All right, so 390 is the number that we're looking for. If we continue development, let's see what we've got under the good category. Okay, biggest thing for me is no risk levels here. I like that. So plus 25 there, plus 40 there. I like that a lot. I like this one a lot. Wow, I really like what we've got. So we've got plus 20. I like it when you can get more added to the max. Okay, let's go ahead and start by the time really doesn't matter that much to me right now. I want the best parts available, particularly for the last half of the year. That's really my focus. So I've got 2 slots open for good parts. And I think what I want to do is this. Okay, so now we've added 5 days and added 2 days. So a total of 7 days added. So that's really going to lengthen it, but it gives us plus 40 to the max, plus 15 to the max, and then another nice plus 20 like we saw here. Okay, it's going to be expensive, but now this gets us up to 445. So another nice jump, cost us 1.2 million. Let's actually see what happens when we do this. Okay, once again, it lets us do that. Of course, we're going to be paying the penalty here. There's no doubt. But with that in mind, let's go ahead and move forward. And you can see we're headed toward our upcoming race. Okay, so here we are. Now, the important thing for me is what happened here. All right, excellent. So we got it all the way to the top. That basically means we're not going to have to mess with that anymore. We got it to 99%. Now I can go back and work on some other things, or at least start work on some other things. So we want to add this, and let's go ahead and see what we've got. Suspensions are both at 80. We're roughly at 80 on the other gearbox. Okay, so far so good. Of course, the rear wing is a spec part. All right, let's go ahead and add these in, and that will go ahead and get started on those. It's probably going to be a while before I do anything else with brakes, so we'll go ahead and add that one in. Okay, so we got both brakes and both front wings. All right, now, again, you can see we're going to be losing quite a bit of money in this race regardless of how we finish, but right now we'll choose the 10th or above and see if we can minimize that with our race bonuses. Let's go ahead and fit the parts. Okay, so we've got the new gearbox here, and looks like everything else is fairly close. Okay, and I believe with that in mind, we're ready to head to Beijing and race. So practice and qualifying have now finished, so we'll move on to the race. I'm pretty happy about the setups we have. Let's take a quick look at we ended at 96% for Sergio, who'll be starting in 15th. And so we had a couple of greats and excellent. Okay, we're going to be starting him out with what it shows is 9 laps of fuel. That's actually because I'm going to be pushing the engine pretty hard, going to equate to hopefully 6 to 7 laps on track. Let's go ahead and confirm that. Move over to Rodriguez. Not quite as good on the setup for him. We got up to 95%, so still very nice. And tire choice, we're going to be starting him out on the soft tires instead of the super soft. I'm planning a 2-stop strategy. We'll run 2 stints on the super softs and 1 on the softs. So I'm just going to go ahead and do his first, and that will separate us as far as our pit stops for both cars. And I'm going to try to get somewhere around 8 laps out of this fuel again, because we're going to be pushing hard on that. Let's look at the driver strategy. Both are set up to overtake and neutral on the driving style. We'll have to, of course, adjust that based off of how our tire heating and tire wear is going. It's going to be a lot to keep in mind, keep track of during the race, particularly with both of our cars starting in the back, and trying to keep an eye on the condition of both cars. But it is time to race. We're 15th and 19th. Let's go ahead and get things going. We'll start out focused on Sergio. Wow, what a wad of cars here at the beginning. Biggest thing here is just don't wreck. Let's see if we can get our camera looking a little bit better here. All right, so 13th and 19th, but I expect that to change quite a few times, especially at the beginning of the race. All right, so 14th and 18th, just do not wreck. That's the biggest thing. We're going to try to keep an eye on the top right-hand corner in the mini map to see when the leaders start to come in for pit stops, and just keep an eye on their general strategy and how they do it. You know, it's just it's part of the learning process of being in a new tier. Okay, we do know that Sergio will be the first one to come in. Ooh, we see raindrops. What do we have? Looks like a little bit of rain. Okay, but it's not going to be bad. Not enough to come in and put on enters or change the strategy for now. But of course, that's something else to keep our eye on as we move forward. Looks like we dropped back a little bit in the pack to 15th and 17th. Let's take another glance. Yeah, so far so good on the rain. All right, nope, you are not coming in right now. Sergio, of course, he's got a couple more laps to run before we start to come in for tires on him. All right, let's see. Tire heat is very low. Let's go ahead and have both cars push. I hate to do that on the soft tires, trying to extend those, but it looks like the tire heat is just not happening without it. Of course, that could have something to do with the dampness on the track. Not sure. So we got 16 laps remaining. Not far from a pit stop for Sergio. All right, so far, so good. All right, and we're already talking about condition issues, and no doubt that will continue. Our main focus right now is just get these cars to the pit stop so we can repair them. Okay, 11th and 12th. All right, looks like the top guys are coming into the pits, and we're starting to see those. That allows us to move up through the field a little bit. Okay, so we're now ready for our first pit stop for Sergio, and not a moment too soon, you can see. All right, fuel. Let's go back to roughly 9 laps so we don't run out. Let's see what needs to be fixed. This is definitely going to need to be fixed, as is this. The others, I think we're okay for now. Pit stop strategy, definitely fast. Okay, let's go ahead and get that going. Now we'll swap over to Rodriguez, and then also keep an eye on the pit stop for Sergio. Okay, it looks like we've got more pit stops for the upper tier teams. All right, looks like I waited a little bit too long on the pit stop for Sergio. So a learning experience there for sure. Okay, now we're going to set up our pit stop. Again, tires just did not last as long as I was hoping on these cars. The soft tires didn't last very much longer than the super soft. So again, something to learn there. Let's go ahead and get to roughly 9. So we'll go 9.5 on fuel. And we need to fix this. So that's about 4 seconds. And we're going to have to fix the brakes, another 6 seconds. So 20 seconds overall. Now, it does move us back in the pack whenever we do this for sure. But the issue we get into, as we see a good pit stop all around, nothing outstanding for Sergio, but an overall good pit stop. The thing it does do is it keeps our parts in good shape for the end of the race. All right, now let's see where Rodriguez comes out in relation to Sergio. Okay, he's going to come out well ahead of Sergio. So that one extra lap that we ran with Sergio really hurt him in his performance. Okay, so we'll have to keep that in mind for the future. Let's take a quick look and see if there's any rain coming. Okay, it doesn't appear to be so. So we're now back to 16th and 20th. Okay, let's back off a little bit here on as far as pushing. Tires are heating up a little bit more than I would like. We're pushing that engine as hard as we can to get as much speed as we can. I see some parts issues on other cars. That's where we may be able to pick up some spots here at the end of the race, as other teams that maybe haven't been as aggressive with fixing their parts now have to start coming in, or even fall out of the race at the end because they didn't fix any parts that were potentially going to fail. All right, so we're now officially halfway through the race. I'm going to try to keep an eye on not only the fuel, but the tire wear for Rodriguez, as well as Sergio. Sergio will be the first one to come in for the pits. If we're fortunate here, we may not have to do any repairs for him, but we'll have to see. All right, another lap in the books, down to 9 remaining. And looks like he's got some more issues with that front wing, which is not unexpected. Okay, tire wear seems to be doing good in relation to the number of laps we have remaining. Again, it looks like 6 laps is about the most we can get off of these tires, super soft or soft, which is not exactly what I was hoping for, but it is what it is. Okay, again, we are pushing them pretty hard here to try to get all we can out. And okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and start our pit stop strategy and see if we can push this. Okay, let's go ahead and pit Sergio. He is going to come in for the soft tires, as he's not used his set of soft tires just yet. And we're going to, let's go ahead and do 8.5 laps. We're going to back off a little bit. Let's see, we're going to have to fix the wing again, and same thing with the brakes. Everything else looks like it's going to make it. Okay, fast pit stop. And again, we're going to back off a little bit on pushing. See if we can't limp this car home. All right, so then, all right, actually, we can pit both cars right now. They're far enough apart. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I'm getting a little bit worried about his parts conditions. Let's go ahead and let's see. We're going to have 6 laps remaining. Let's see, if we back off a little bit, I think we're going to be okay with just that amount of fuel. And let's see, we need to fix this part and this part for sure. Oh, wow, we need to fix the engine as well. Okay, well, man, I was hoping I could push more than that, but it doesn't look like it is going to help. Okay, so first pit stop. I'll tell you what, since we're fixing that, we might as well just go ahead and push him as hard as we can. And all right, our pit stop strategy didn't work out as planned. But parts failures are taking precedence here. All right, so now we're 18th and 19th and just, all right, but we got, you can see the number one car has parts issues. Our only hope really here, because we don't have the speed just yet. We were able to finish mid-pack in our first race. This race doesn't look like it's going to be quite as kind to us, but I do believe we're going to see some parts failures. Let's see, are we going to have enough fuel to get to the end? It looks like it, but we shall see. All right, so yeah, the number one car here has got some issues, which is why we're able to pass him, or even come close to passing him, really. All right, so we got some issues with slower cars now. Oh, and the number one car has now, looks like he's got a parts failure, so that's going to hurt him. See if he even finishes the race. All right, blue flags all around. Of course, if you're familiar with the game, you know there's been a lot of issues with blue flags in this game. All right, let's go ahead and slow down here. In fact, let's slow down quite a bit to see if we can get enough fuel to finish the race. All right, and yes, more parts issues. Even though I brought them both in on the same lap, we still got parts issues that we're dealing with. Let's go ahead and slow down some more. See if we can't save this thing and salvage what we can out of the race. All right, so we got a lot of mechanical issues, it seems like, here at the end of the race. We got cars retiring. You can see we should pick up those positions, assuming, of course, that we've been conservative enough here at the end of the race for our own cars. Okay, so we're up to 14th and 15th. Looks like more parts issues ahead of us. Boy, I hate to race this way, being so conservative, but it's the beginning of the year, and that's pretty much what we're left with. Okay, so now 20th, and looks like Sergio should pick up a few other spots as well. All right, I believe we're on our final lap now. And okay, I'm sorry, we actually just finished, and oh no, we didn't. Wow, I missed it, the fuel. So we ran out of fuel with Rodriguez. Now we've got, all right, luckily, this is a complete disaster of a race for everybody involved. So sometimes you get things done in a good way. Sometimes you learn the hard way. So I was so worried about condition issues and whether or not our parts were going to make it that I really didn't pay enough attention to the fuel. So we end up coming in with 11th and 15th. So definitely not a stellar day. It's particularly running out of fuel, although it really only cost us probably a couple of positions as it all turned out. So a few more lessons learned the hard way. But we do come home 11th and 15th. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Lots of parts failures in this race, as you would imagine. I can't imagine anybody really losing out on scrutineering unless they were extremely aggressive with their parts. And sure enough, there we go. We get a few, so we're going to end up 9th and 15th. So we get a top 10 finish and get a little bit of that race bonus. We'll take it. Anything we can get at the beginning of the season, we are going to take it. So now that puts us 11th and 12th in the driver's standings. And we are now 9th. But of course, you can see the difference between 7th and 9th is 1 point. So if we can ever get a few points during the race, we'll be in good shape there and should be able to make up some spots. All right, now let's see what we've got for happiness and see particularly how much the happiness of our chairman has decreased. Okay, so no drop in morale for the two drivers. And we got some increases on their driver's stats. Okay, and let's see, another drop of, okay, only 10% in happiness for the chairman. So we're still at 80%. So we're okay so far. Okay, we lost about $800,000. So now we're in a huge hole at 3.6 million. But then in our next video, we're going to get to see what I talked about at the very beginning of this one, which is the sponsor issue. All right, and with that in mind, thank you very much for joining me in this series, and stay tuned for more Motorsport Manager.